Hello guys, how you guys doing? This is your host Sean Fuller, host of My Comic AI as well as Apollo's Run. Today we have some exciting activities going on today.
The
We have
latest weather
the
forecast out in the recovery zone off the coast of San Diego is a go forecast from our meteorologists here at the Spaceflight Meteorology Group at the Johnson Space Center. And standing by on the deck of the USS John Murtha is my colleague from the Kennedy Space Center, Megan
we're here
Cruz. Megan?
watching live the Artemis 2 landing, and I will get back to it when the conversation is finished.
Hey there, Rob. Yeah, welcome to the bow of the USS John Murtha. This is where we will report out live updates from the ship as NASA and the U.S. military work to recover our Artemis 2 astronauts in just about an hour and a half. How exciting. Now, right now, as you can see, we are out in the Pacific Ocean. We are just west of San Diego. We're actually staged about 6.5 miles away from where we expect Orion to splash down. And then we will incrementally move closer. So at the time of splashdown, we'll be about 5 miles away, and then we will move to 3.2 miles away. At that point, we'll pause, make sure that all the debris that might be coming down with Orion, because basically some parts of like the parachute system, they're jettisoned off Orion during descent. So we'll just want to make sure that those all land in the water and that we are safe to move even closer. So we will make sure that we can move a little closer. And at that point, we will move to a mile away from Orion. And at that point, the ship will circle the capsule while NASA and Navy recovery forces work to get our astronauts out. And we should have great views of the bow from here. But also, we have a ton of cameras all around the ship. For example, we actually have some cameras right to the left of me here on the bow. These are very strong, stabilized cameras. We can really get up close to make sure that we are sharing all the images we have available to you. We also will have some views from above. We actually have 5 planes providing live views of splashdown today. In fact, some of those aerial assets just took off from San Diego minutes ago. And then actually here on the flight deck, you see 4 helicopters, the 2 in the back. Those will take off in about 30 minutes from now, also with live cameras. So again, lots and lots of imagery that we hope to share with you today. And then those 2 helos in the front, those 2 will pluck the crew out of the water and fly them back to our ship. Now, the combined team here on the ship, more than 550 people, left San Diego 4 days ago. And since then, I've watched different teams train every day, train, rehearse, final preps to make sure that they're ready for today. So to give us more of an update about how recovery is going on right now, why don't we turn over to Paul here, Paul Serpinski. He is the Assistant Artemis Recovery Director. Great to have you here, Paul.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Absolutely. So you just left the landing forces operations center here on the ship. How are we looking for recovery?
Right now, it's looking great. When I left, they were just about to get into weather briefing with Mission Control Center in Houston. But listening to the loops this morning and everything that's been going on, the reentry trajectory correction burn, the return trajectory correction burn went great. They were right down the money, right on the money, right down the middle where they should be coming back. Our forces here are teams out in the water. All our boats are launched or will be imminently. So yeah, it's just coming along great.
Yeah. It's really nice to see. We did see some of those boats float behind us. We were hoping to give you a live view, but of course they floated right out of the camera shot as you came to us. But so basically the team right now here on the ship, basically like monitoring mode, but really things will pick up about 15 minutes after splashdown.
Yeah, so a couple minutes before splashdown, things start happening really, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Some events during the reentry, they're maybe a second or two apart, and so it just takes a whole lot of effort and a lot of updates back and forth between us and Houston to try to keep track of everything that's happening, all in real time. And then after splashdown, that's when the recovery team really kicks into high gear. We have our boat teams, our boat crews going out, our divers doing hazardous assessments as they get progressively closer to the capsule, making sure it's safe for all of our people to go in, and it's also safe for the astronauts to come out. Because really, at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. Is we're to make sure that the astronauts get home safe after their tremendous journey to the moon and back. But then also we have, like you mentioned on a minute ago, all of our imagery helicopters are taking imagery, camera shots of it as it's coming in all the way through splashdown. I mean, they'll see it as soon as it crosses the horizon, all the way to the ocean here.
And then afterwards, we have to recover actually Orion to bring it into the well deck of the ship.
Absolutely, yeah. And so once the astronauts are safe on board, then those same dive teams are going to transition into securing the capsule. They'll position some equipment around it to kind of facilitate that. The ship will move into position. We'll attach a really big winch line to it and then a bunch of tending lines. We'll pull the capsule around behind the ship and then start to slowly bring it in. And then, Orion comes in, goes hard down, and everyone cheers.
Yeah.
Great day.
Great day, exactly. Lots to coordinate, a lot to manage. Basically, planning for this recovery, Artemis 2 recovery, started a month after Artemis 1 launched. That was the uncrewed test flight of the Space Launch System rocket, as well as the Orion spacecraft. That was November 2022, a month later, all the planning for this. How does it feel to be so close to welcoming our friends, our astronauts home?
I mean, for the whole team, I walked around the ship this morning, just kind of visiting with a lot of people, a lot of groups, and just kind of get the feel of them. And everyone has that same kind of mentality. Everyone's excited. Everyone's thrilled to see all that work that we've been doing, like you said, for the last 3 years, since right after the last one came back till now. And some people even further back. Some of them go back a decade or more. So everyone is just excited and they're ready. They're really ready for this, and just to be able to see our crew come back, that's going to be a thrill for everyone.
How are you feeling? Are you ready? Is this something you ever thought you'd be doing?
I'm ready. I'm excited. This has been the pinnacle of my career so far. It really has. I've seen a lot of firsts, a lot of lasts, but I can't think of ever topping seeing the first crew to go to the moon and back in 50 years, and to be here and be a part of that. And it's just a tremendous privilege. And I'm on behalf of the whole team. Like, I'm thrilled, and so are all of us. We're ready.
Yeah, I definitely think that those words really embody how everybody on the ship is feeling. So thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate you being here. And so, Rob, we'll toss it back to you again. We will continue to join you with live updates from the ship as much as possible.
Thank you, Megan. Back here at the Johnson Space Center, the entry team of flight controllers looking over the shoulders of Reed Wiseman and Victor Glover there on the flight deck of Integrity. And again, just below their feet in the mid-deck area, if you will, Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. They're in the final review of their entry procedures and all of the activities that will follow here very shortly in trip hammer fashion. We should note that after splashdown occurs, the flight control team here in Houston will be monitoring the orientation of the Integrity spacecraft. We are expecting it to splash down upright in what is called the Stable 1 configuration, with the top of the spacecraft pointed upward. Stable 2 would indicate that it is upside down in the water. Regardless of the orientation, there will be 5 inflatable airbags called the CMOOS system. That's the acronym for Crew Module Uprighting System.
We are suit dot complete.
Houston copies.
Reed Wiseman acknowledging that the final steps in suit donning are now complete for the crew. Leak checks have been completed earlier. The CMOOS system, those 5 inflatable airbags, will be inflated with helium. Those airbags will ensure that the vehicle remains upright. While that activity is going on, the flight control team here will be checking the systems on Integrity, also making sure that there's no leakage of toxic gas from the spacecraft. It should take about 15 minutes from splashdown to the power down of all of the systems on Integrity. And at that point, assuming everything is in a nominal fashion, then the green light will be given for the Navy recovery teams to begin to make their way closer to Integrity, to begin the erection of a large inflatable life raft called a front porch that will be buttressed up alongside the hatchway to the spacecraft. That life raft will be used to bring the crew members out of this vehicle once the hatch is open, one by one. They'll get their land legs back after 9 days of weightlessness before they're put in harnesses to be hoisted one by one in sequential fashion, in an alternating fashion, to the 2 hovering Navy helicopters overhead.
Houston Integrity for a status.
Go ahead.
Seats 3 and 4 are connecting umbilicals. We're going to be stepping into leak check soon. 1 and 2 will be seated. 3 and 4 will be free float, and we'll configure EPROC accordingly.
Houston, copies all.
Reed Wiseman talking about the current procedures with the suiting of the crew members and subsequent leak checks, a final leak check for all 4 crew members. Everything is actually running a few minutes ahead of schedule. So once the life raft is inflated next to the Integrity spacecraft and the recovery teams have arrived alongside of the vehicle, the hatch will be open and the crew members will be brought outside into that front porch, as it is called, one by one. They then will be hoisted into the hovering helos overhead. And those helos then will turn around once the 4 crew members are on board, 2 for each helicopter, and will head back to the ship. That should be about a 10 to 15-minute transit. Once the helicopters land on the deck of the USS John Murtha, the crew members will be exiting those helicopters and brought into medical bay on the deck on the ship itself for comprehensive medical exams. They will spend a period of time yet to be determined on board the USS John Murtha before they are flown by helicopter to the shore in San Diego, to the San Diego Naval Air Station, and ultimately will board a NASA jet for the flight back to the Johnson Space Center here in Houston. Just to recap some of the key times that are coming up, we are expecting the separation of the crew module from the service module just 43 minutes from now. That is expected to occur at 6:33 p.m. Central Time, 7:33 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be followed just 4 minutes later by the crew module raise burn, the use of Integrity's thrusters one final time in a 19-second burn to slightly tilt the vehicle up into the correct orientation or angle of attack to ensure that it enters the Earth's atmosphere at the right angle, if you will. That will help deflect the buildup of heat against Integrity's heat shield. This was a deliberate move, a change in the procedures from the Artemis 1 mission that resulted in unexpected char loss on the Avcode heat shield that had not been intended based on the entry trajectory for the Artemis 1 mission. What we're doing is we deliberately changed the trajectory of the entry from a skip entry that was about a 3,000-mile transit across the Pacific Ocean. We are expecting now from entry interface to the point of splashdown to have a range of just 1,701 nautical miles, and that in of itself will reduce the exposure time of heating on the heat shield of the spacecraft. Once the raise burn is complete, then the stage is set for entry interface at 6:53 and 31 seconds p.m. Central Time. That means that Integrity will be entering the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling at about 34,882 feet per second, heading for its splashdown site off the coast of San Diego, as you just heard from Megan Cruz on the deck of the USS John Murtha. Splashdown once again under those 3 main parachutes is expected at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, 2.5 hours before sunset. The actual total distance traveled for Integrity from launch to splashdown is estimated at 694,481 statute miles. Now that includes the first high elliptical Earth orbit following launch that enabled Integrity to move to 43,000 miles above the Earth at its apogee and enabling a 24-hour period of systems checkout before the flight control team here and the mission management team gave approval for Integrity to conduct its translunar injection that propelled it on its way to the moon and its historic lunar flyby. So the total distance we expect this vehicle to have traveled at splashdown, 694,481 statute miles. With everything proceeding
Hey guys,
on
thank you
track
for joining me
and
for
on
today's
time
live
with board
stream of
integrity,
the
the vehicle system's in excellent
Artemis
shape as the
2
Earth grows larger in the
landing
field of
of
view.
this
Let's go back to the
after the
USS
last
John
10
Murtha
days of these guys
and Megan
flying.
Cruz, who is
As you
standing
guys
by.
know, I'm the CEO and founder of. Actually, I'm just gonna go back to the show and come back and give some
Hey, yeah, Rob, welcome
comments
back.
when it's
Again,
been
we
going
are
on.
out in the Pacific Ocean, staged just about 6.5 miles from where we expect Orion to splash down now in just over an hour. How exciting! And the weather. Awesome conditions here. I know you see some wind blowing around my hair, but really nothing to speak of when it comes to having to recover our astronauts, as well as no waves here, really. So yeah, we're expecting a really great day. Also, hopefully, some really great views. You can see behind me that some of the clouds are starting to break up, so that's really exciting. And now, of course, this ship has a lot of people ready and excited to welcome our crew back home, including Dr. Rick Schuring here. He is a NASA flight surgeon. Great to have you here, Rick.
You too, Megan. It is a blessing to be out here this day with our teams. We've trained 3 years for this nonstop with the U.S. Navy and along with EGS. And we've so looked forward to this day. And just by God's grace, everything's parting, the skies and everything. The crew's doing great. Looking forward to come back, and our teams are ready. So this is one of those days you've dreamt about, and now it's finally here, and we're ready, and just thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, and you play a really integral role. When was the last time you spoke to the crew, and how are they feeling in this last hour before splashdown?
Sure. Yeah. So the crew woke up when they splashed down. They were woken up about 8.5 hours ago. Me and my fellow crew surgeons, doctors Chris Haas and Rafi Kumjian from this Canadian Space Agency, spoke with them about 6.5 hours ago, just to double check on how they were doing, if there's any medical issues, how they slept, and then kind of go over their landing day protocol for their medications, for what we call a fluid load, to try to replace some of the fluid and electrolytes that they've lost with just a normal space adaptation. Once they got to space, they kind of have to replace some of that fluid to help them with the whole landing kind of readaptation to 1G, which they haven't done for the last 10 days. And then just kind of let them know how things are going to play out, out with the open water teams all the way until we finally get to the med deck. So they were very pumped up, very hurried though. They had a lot of cabin configuration, a lot of things to get ready. So they're excited, but also very focused on the job that they had to do. So we've trained a long time for this, and we're ready.
And you said some medications. I mean, those are kind of just to mitigate the effects of, obviously, they're more than 695,000-mile journey back to Earth. It's just like anti-nausea medication, right?
Yeah, exactly, Megan. The astronauts are very healthy, fortunately, and even when they come back in reentry, the human system is very kind of dynamic. It has to readapt very quickly, and one of the most common responses they get is just some stomach awareness, to some nausea, even to some vomiting. And with our crews that land out in Karagana, the Soyuz crews or our SpaceX crews, they all kind of experience the same thing. This will be the first time we're landing in water since December 1972, and I worked with all the Apollo astronauts years ago, and they all told me that landing in the water, especially in the Pacific, can be very provocative. So we take steps to give them medicines to really mitigate some of that nausea, vomiting, help them feel a little bit better, and also sometimes just use a little anti-inflammatory medicine just to help with coming back to 1 Earth or 1G. The effects of microgravity, especially as you age and you have a little arthritis, you feel great in microgravity, and everyone kind of curses coming back to the ground like, oh dang, 1G, but so that helps a little bit. But for the most part, the main thing is just replacing that fluid and then trying to help them with that transition back to 1G, and then we're ready to go.
Yeah, and their health is assessed almost immediately after they splash down.
Yeah, so we have Dr. Jesse Wang, and we have our independent duty corpsmen, who are the Navy Virgin and paramedics, extremely highly trained, highly experienced Navy medics and divers, who will go out there, open the capsule about 28 minutes after splashdown, and do the first initial assessment. So Jesse and his team will go out there and look at each crew, kind of do their assessments, get vital signs, report back to Drs. Haas and Kumji and I back in med bay, let them know how they're doing, and then if they've got the normal kind of space adaptation kind of things, we expect that they're good to go on that. If anything, didn't go the way we want, they're all prepared for that as well. And Jesse and his team, I mean, this is their full-time job, taking care of sailors and folks who might be injured. We don't expect any injuries, but coming back, going 25,000 miles an hour down to 20 miles an hour is still a dynamic process. I've heard it described as kind of like a car crash, and then the crew will be ready to go, and Jesse and his team will make that transition to get them out to the front porch, do assessments on them again, call it to our med bay, and then once we have that and they're all good to go and the crew's feeling okay, we'll hoist them up in the helos. It's about a 3-minute flight back to the flight deck, and that's where me and the astronaut chief Scott Tingle will actually meet them. I'll get eyes on them, make sure they're all good, just take very slow transitions, and then one by one we'll
I have
either
to say,
get them
it's
out
actually very good to just be
the
looking
SMTs,
at the
the sergeant med
moon.
techs under each arm, just kind of just walking very slowly to
See
med
if y'all
bay,
are paying
which actually
attention.
helps them acclimate
You see?
past 1G.
Okay,
Or
cool.
if they're
So
really
if you can
kind of
take a look
seasick
right now,
gaps
you
yet,
see the
then
reason
we
why I
actually
went
what
with
we
this
call a stair
view
chair, which
is
will be right
because
behind
it
them,
gave
and
me
then
all the
just very slowly
stats
kind of
as
get them
raw
back to
data,
med bay to
as
start our
well
full
as the
assessments with the team.
video
Yeah, so a really
streaming
great team
of
here
the
to
entire
support them
thing.
as
Now
soon as
you
they
have to
get
understand
back and
this is
also all throughout the mission
everything
reports.
about
You
this
talked a
is
little bit about this, but obviously,
over
we
50
have
years
seen
since the last
astronauts
time we had
return from the
somebody on the
International
moon.
Space Station for
So
over
now
25 years. So we kind of know that
having the first
that
flyback
journey, how it affects the
by
body.
in
But
over
yes, we're
50
talking
years,
about
I'm looking
humans
so
returning from the moon
ecstatic
for the
right
first
now.
time since
Even when I think
1972.
about it
How is
in
this
comparison
different
of
from
my
the other
own
spectrum?
comic, where I
So
talked
it's
about
different
just the
in
going back to the
one very
moon kind of
significant respect
concept
with
and being
on
able to fly
Apollo,
over.
the whole
Everyone that knows
exercise,
me
they have
knows
something
I've
called
been
the
working
Apollo
on my
Exergen,
comic
which is
book
basically just a little canister with some
Apollo's Run.
ropes, and they would have some
Apollo's Run
muscle
is
testing kind of do
literally
that. And the Apollo
about
astronauts really like that.
going back
They
to the
like the ability
moon
to exercise
and as a
because you
team in a
decondition
competition.
from a
But today I
musculoskeletal
get to
standpoint. You lose your
see,
strength and your stamina very quickly.
and the
So
world
we have
gets to
something called
see
the
at the
Orion
same time,
flywheel,
the
which is
return
able to
of
impart much
astronauts to the
greater
moon.
loads in terms
And
of
hopefully
resistance. So
this
they're
is
able to do
just
squats and
one
deadlifts, different things,
first step
not
into a
dissimilar to what the
more
ISS astronauts do,
gradual
but with a lot
expansion
less
of our
room to do it.
capabilities
And they also did
into
rowing
just
activities
doing
for their
that. And
cardiovascular health,
hopefully I can
and the
see
crews loved it.
some version of
For the
my
lunar
comic
crews, the future
being
lunar crews,
illustrated
maintaining
in
that
this
physical conditioning,
new
which
moon
our astronaut
race.
strength conditioning
Because let's
rehabilitation
be honest,
specialists,
everybody
Professor
else
Norman
is not going to want to
Mazurs,
sit back and
back in
just say,
Houston,
okay,
really
cool,
were
they did
trying
it.
to
We
get
know
them in the
China's
best
coming
shape
up
they're going to have to be
behind
in
them soon
to get to
with
the
their
moon.
own
That
space
device
mission.
hopefully will
And
maintain that. And Apollo only had about
and
a
if this keeps going,
4.2 day
we're
journey
going to
to the
see
moon.
a very
Our
high
astronauts are going to have
competition
about a 10 to
in just
14
not
day
only
journey.
evolution
So
of the
maintaining that
technology, but
physical fitness, that
evolution of the
strength and
capability
stamina
to
is going
just
to be
make
crucial for the
people go to the
success of being
moon.
able to do those
So
very
I am so
physically
excited
demanding
right now. This is why I
lunar
wanted to make
days.
sure
So
I
we're very
capture
excited about
today.
what the astronauts have
Make
said
sure I was a
about the
part of the live
device and what they
stream.
have to
I'm
say
going to
about
let
the role
these people
exercise
talk,
plays
but I'm not
going
going
to
to
the moon. And
output this
also
like
the
this is a
health
live.
benefits.
And
They
I want
just
to make
really
sure I
like
have the
just sweating,
opportunity to
breaking a
actually
sweat,
get to
and
share
actually
how I
just
felt
feeling
about
like
some of these things that they're
they're
doing.
just getting a workout.
Um,
So
Thank you
so
so
for
much,
those
Rick. I
that
really
don't know, the
appreciate it. I know you're going to be
splashdown
in
is
good hands,
happening
so we'll let you
within
get
the
back
next
to
hour
it.
and a
Thanks so
half.
much.
thanks for the time.
Back to you, Rob.
What that means is that they'll be
Okay,
landing
Megan, back here
in
in
the
Mission
water,
Control in Houston. Everything is
surrounding
moving along in
by
order.
rescue
This
operating
view
crews to
of
come pick them up
Reed
and make
Wiseman
sure that
on the
they're safe.
left, Victor Glover on the right.
As we
We have
all know, I'm a
good
Sigma.
suit leak
We
checks.
have
Everything
Victor
aboard
Glover,
integrity is in
also the pilot
excellent
of
shape.
this
The
ship.
vehicle, with the Earth
He's
growing
also a
larger and
Sigma, a
larger in the field of
distinction
view,
honorary member.
we're
So I
now
just
just
want to shout
about
out to my Sigma
8,200
brothers to let us know
nautical
that we are
miles away
represented,
from Earth
and it's good to
and
see that as
closing
well.
in for a splashdown
Um,
just 1 hour and 5 minutes
we
from
look
now.
forward to welcoming back, and hopefully someone can put him my way so I can get the opportunity to interview him later when he comes
Integrity,
back and
just
he can
under a
share his
minute
story
till
about
your
what he did.
GPS maneuver
How was the
initiates,
experience
and
going
most
back to the moon
GPS
after 50
units
years?
look eager to acquire.
Right now, we're seeing the trajectory. I like what I've been watching because
Okay,
as I've been
3 and
watching this,
4
I've
are
seen the
working
trajectory
on
change.
seat strap
Now,
in
one of the
now.
things that was always entertaining for me when I
Houston
looked at
copy.
the space missions is just that the length of time it takes. That's 10 days. And
Once
all they
again,
did was
as we
orbit the
start to
moon.
close in on some of the
And
major
so this kind of
milestones, the
tells
first one
you
coming up in just 31 minutes.
that any kind of space
And
exploration mission
Integrity, just
is not
confirming the
measured in
LPG
hours but
gas
in
trap
days.
was able to
But
be
what a lot
closed.
of people don't understand with that is that's because
Okay, affirmative.
mostly because of the way they get to to the moon and
Crew
back.
module,
If
service
you look
module
at
separation scheduled
the,
just
from the
31
vessel itself
minutes
all the way
from
down
now.
to the system that
The
puts it
key
in space,
point of
it's
interest, of
all
course,
based on
will be the
trajectory
performance
and
of
making sure that they
Integrity's heat
can
shield
take
during
different
its high-speed entry back into Earth
use
and
gravity
preheating
assist to
that
get
is
to the
expected
different
around
layers
the
that they want to get
spacecraft
to.
of some 4 to
As you can
5,000
see
degrees
here, you
Fahrenheit.
see
On Artemis
the
1,
orbital route,
as I think most
the
folks know
speed and
by
everything
now,
that
we flew a
the
trajectory known as
aircraft
a skip
experienced as it was
entry,
going from
in
Earth
which we
to the
performed an
moon
initial
and
dip into
back.
the
And you
atmosphere
see
to
it's
bleed
in
off some energy.
conjunction where the moon
Then we
was,
skipped out
and
of
in
the
conjunction
atmosphere and
of
dipped
where
back into the
Earth
atmosphere
is
before
and
splashing
its
down in
actual
the
flight
Pacific.
path.
But after the
That's what
mission was
leads to
over
that
with,
very
we
large flight
noticed
time that
unexpected
these
liberation of
vessels tend
some
to
of the
have.
charring
So,
effects on
and as
the
you can
heat
see, as
shield
they get
known as
closer, they're
ASCO.
making
Before
their
the flight, we
orbital
had an
corrections
opportunity
and
to sit
set.
down and talk with entry flight director Rick Henfling to get a
And as you
perspective
can see,
on what
it's a
this all
very
means
interesting way
and
because you can
how
see the
the
moon,
mission was
the Earth
redesigned to try
in
to protect
first of all, you can't even see
Integrity's
the
heat shield
sun.
to a higher
Look
extent.
how
Let's
pitch
take a
black
look at
that
that
is.
interview.
You see no rays of light,
Returning
even
from
though
the
we
moon
know
is
the
a
sun
lot
is right
different
out
than
there.
deorbiting from low Earth orbit.
Right now, they're even
When we
showing you the
return from
orbital
the
path
moon, we expect
that
to achieve
that the ship
velocities
has to take.
upwards of 36,000 feet per second.
That lets
And
you
in
know
order
that this
to
is not
slow
a
down to a nice,
point A to
graceful
point B
splashdown in
kind
the
of
Pacific Ocean,
mission. It's
the flight crew is going to
literally a
experience
very
between 3
coordinated
and
dance
4
between
times the force of
man and
Earth's
gravity.
gravity.
And you
On
know, in any
Artemis 1,
fight,
pressure
gravity always
buildup
wins, so you might
inside
as well
the
not fight
char
it.
layer of the heat
So
shield resulted
this is going to be
in
one of those
the
interesting
char
times
losses
as
we
we
saw.
look and
NASA
see what
established
they're
a
up
Tiger
to.
team
I will
whose
always
job
try
was
and back
to
in to kind of
investigate the
point
cause of
back
the
to what they've
problem
been doing.
and then make
A lot of stuff that's
recommendations
been
on how
going
to
on.
fly the Artemis 2
Um,
mission
and
safely
we have
and
to say this
successfully.
is
And
this
so
is
for Artemis
beautiful.
2, we are going to fly a profile that ensures the
I'm going back
spacecraft
to
will not
listening to
see
this
that
thing
same
because
type of
everything is
pressure
phenomenal.
profile. And so
Phenomenal.
the char losses seen on Artemis 2 will not be like the ones that we saw on Artemis 1.
Rick Henfling indicated that the orientation of the spacecraft and the shortening of the distance of transit to the splashdown zone from the point of entry interface when we reach the top of the Earth's atmosphere, which will be coming up at 6:53 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time, should do the trick in minimizing the deleterious forces against that heat shield that were noticed on the Artemis 1 mission.
And we think we see a beautiful sunrise over the west coast of Australia.
We copy.
Commander Reed Wiseman reveling in his final hour in space on this mission as Integrity is passing over the southwest coast of Australia now at an altitude of some 7,600 nautical miles. That will begin the southwest to northeasterly transit across the Pacific Ocean. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the highlights and some of the numbers associated with the points of interest here. We are 27 and a half minutes away from crew module, service module separation. That will be followed about 3.5 minutes later by the raise burn that we've discussed, a 19-second burn of Integrity's thrusters to fine-tune its angle of attack as it enters the Earth's atmosphere. Entry interface is scheduled 47 and a half minutes from now. That's the point at which we will reach the top of the Earth's atmosphere, traveling about 34,882 feet per second at an altitude of 400,000 feet. Just 24 seconds after entry interface, we will begin a blackout period of 6 minutes in duration at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. Now, right about 10 seconds after the blackout period begins, we are expected to reach peak speed, which would be 24,661 miles an hour. That'll be about 103 miles an hour short of the velocity record set by the Apollo 10 astronauts, Tom Stafford, Gene Cernan, and John Young, when they returned from the moon on the Apollo 10 mission in 1969. That blackout period is expected to last 6 minutes in duration. At 6:54 and 52 seconds p.m. Central Time, we'll reach our peak heating period of about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees while we're in a communications blackout from Integrity and its astronauts. That blackout should end at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time, at which point we expect to regain communications with the crew. Capcom Jackie Mahaffey here in the flight control room will be uh, talking to the crew, calling them, and will await a response from the crew as they come out of that blackout period. And at that point, their altitude will be just 157,000 feet above the Earth, traveling at 13,000 feet per second, with a range to splashdown of just 147 nautical miles. From that point on, the next key series of events will be the deployment of a series of parachutes that we discussed before. First, the forward bay cover chute deploy that will pull the forward bay cover away from the top of Integrity, followed by drogue chute deploy, and then the main chute deploy that's expected at 7:04 and 44 seconds p.m. Central Time. That will begin the gentle descent of Integrity towards its splashdown at just a velocity of just 19 miles an hour. And that will begin the recovery operations that you just heard Megan Cruz discuss with her folks on the USS John Murtha. All of Integrity's systems in great shape. The crew is suited up. Leak checks complete as we stand by for the next major milestone, which will be the crew module service module separation just 24.5 minutes from now. All of the activities from the start of entry interface to the point of splashdown will be quite rapid fire, just 13.5 minutes from the point at which we begin descent into the Earth's atmosphere till splashdown. And just to show you, as Rick Shearing, the flight surgeon, alluded to in his interview with Megan Cruz, all of this happens to decelerate the vehicle from traveling around Mach 33 to just 19 miles an hour at splashdown. All of that happening in just 13.5 minutes. But the vehicle and the parachutes are all designed to support all of that. So we'll be standing by to report all that to you in
So
sequential
right now
fashion
we're in
as these
within the
milestones are
1 hour
significant.
mark of
And as we
splashdown.
hear
So you're
from
gonna
the
see a lot
crew
of stuff
during
happening really in
its
rapid
entry
succession.
back into
First
the
thing we're
Earth's
gonna see
atmosphere,
is the
and ultimately when they emerge from the
after the
blackout period,
correction, you're gonna see
and at that
a
point, we'll be just
blackout
minutes
period
away
of
from
time.
splashdown.
Then so we're gonna lose their silence for probably 10 to 13 minutes. We'll get to that point. Then you're gonna see them
So with
deploy
all of those
parachutes
preparations
afterwards, and then they're gonna
ongoing,
be going
we
through
can
the rescue
return
mission
here
going there.
briefly
So
for
within an
another
hour,
report from the
we're gonna
USS
see them
John P.
move
Murtha
from being in
and Megan
space
Cruz. Megan?
to on back home on Earth atmosphere. So I guess they're gonna get they have to in a few minutes they're gonna get past their 0G experience that
And
they've been
we'll
having
regain
enjoyed for the
that
past
communication with
2 days.
the USS John P.
Sorry,
Murtha
10
just
days,
momentarily.
and they'll be back to 1G Earth's gravity.
In the
This is gonna
meantime,
be fun. Let's
everything
see if
is
they enjoy
on
being
track aboard
having weight again.
Integrity, the flight control team here in Houston, led by Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling. The voice you will hear talking to the crew is that of Jackie Mahaffey. She will be reporting everything to the crew and receiving their reports as they enter the Earth's atmosphere
So I'm gonna make
for
sure
their
my son
13.5
enjoys the
minute
show
plunge
with
back
me.
into the
Already told him
atmosphere
he's
for
gonna be a pilot.
splashdown
Now if he's
off the
gonna be an
coast of San
astronaut, that'd be
Diego.
fun for me
Now
and
we have
him.
the ship
But
back with us and
as
Megan
far as
Cruz
being a
aboard
pilot,
the
he has no
USS
choice in
John
that.
P. Murtha.
So
11 below,
listen
right?
up, everyone. I'm announcing to the world, you'll be a pilot. See, this is where I did it. So now you can go back and run around if you
The
want.
excitement is really building here on the ship. I'm watching right now one of the weather balloons being lofted up from the ship. Again, weather balloons very important for us to make sure that we are tracking the right kind of weather and also the data that's needed for what's called our Sasquatch team. Again, it's a team out of NASA that basically makes sure that the debris that comes off of Orion, again, some of those pieces of the parachute system, make sure that they don't fall on us here in the sea and also our aerial assets, our folks in helicopters. So watching that float away right now. But with me right now is Captain Eric Kenny. He's the commanding officer of the John P. Murtha naval ship. Thank you so much for being here. There are so many moving parts that you have to keep an eye on.
That's absolutely right, yeah. But first of all, on behalf of the crew of USS John P. Murtha, Megan, thanks for having me on today. Happy to tell you what we're doing and excited to get the interview started.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we actually take a look at the flight deck here? We'll start there. Basically, we also, while watching this weather balloon float away, we noticed all 4 helicopters leave the flight deck. We now have an empty flight deck. We had 2 imagery helos as well as the 2 crew helicopters that will go recover the crew. This is just one of the many things that, again, our ship of 550 people, it's something that you oversee as commanding officer.
Yeah, absolutely. Every commanding officer, I would say really every naval service member, our priority is always safety. And as the commanding officer, I take that as one of my primary roles here on board. Mission accomplishment is important, safety always. So my day really has, I would say my message to the crew has sort of changed over the past 24 hours. As we're leading up to today, we've been building up the excitement and motivating the team for the training that we've executed. But really over the past 24 hours, now I'm trying to get us to slow down a little bit. Trust our training, right? Don't believe all the hype. Don't believe everything that's going on. Just let's trust what we've done to get to this point, and if we do that, we'll be successful today.
And also part of the big success is obviously the coordination between NASA and the U.S. military. How does it feel being able to support the human space program we have?
Yeah, I mean, since 1959 with Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, the history between NASA and the Navy has been in lockstep. But like any other skill, if you don't practice it regularly, that skill atrophies. So we've had a few decades off from that. But, over the past 4 or 5 years, really, this ship over the past year, we've constantly trained and working for this moment right here. Building up the hype to get to this point today, to trust all the training we've done. We work, working with NASA, the Air Force, the medical team, dive team. You want to talk about high performance organizations coming together, working in unison. We are seeing that here on board the USS John P. Murtha, and I can't be more proud of all the work everyone's doing.
Yeah, you had some great words this morning saying just that again, that it's really nice to see.
I just want to make sure I thank my team for putting all the effort to make sure that today's meeting came together. We talked about the fact that this was so closely related to our comic book and how we wanted to make sure that we didn't miss the opportunity to celebrate the guys that kind of took the adventures of what we had in our thing to put it into real life. So these guys are the true heroes, and we want to make sure we thank them for their hard work. So this is the Watchdown Party, as I want everyone to see. And my shameless plug, of course, we're going to be talking about the fact that Mike Apollo's Run is literally a show about how people came together, motivated by a prophet, of course, to go back to the moon and show their capability and capacity. This is a moon and back race, and that's what you see in this comic, and that's what you see in this show. So we're definitely going to get back to it. We're going to talk about the next steps as it comes down. Right now, you see a lot. We're going to go back. We're going to be talking about. Let's go back real quick.
Had a quick view of the crew.
So right now we're looking at mission control. And we also have the. I'm also looking at it on here. I'm looking in from the crew as well. So the crew right now, they're going through their final checks. Mission control is getting ready for them to come down. So everyone's getting kind of being an antsy little environment where they're like looking forward to everything to come down. You see a cockpit version there. I always find it very interesting of all the images they want to show the screens of what they're looking for. They look like
data relay satellite system. As we prepare for the
very interesting setup, very interesting angle, and all you see is you're just looking at them touch screens, make sure they have set up so everything's going right, and you're like, I don't know half of these buttons do. I assure you, most of us will never know what these buttons do, but the rest of us that do learn it, it's life and death between what happens within those moments and what's going on those screens. So let's pay attention. Let's see what they're going down to. We know that the crew is getting ready to land on. I know the different branches, especially the Air Force, is out there waiting for them, expecting them. They've been rehearsing for this moment. And so
Artemis
let's give
1
an
entry had
opportunity
an
to be
entry range
ready
of some
because
3,178
this is going to
nautical
be the
miles, a
next
very
hour.
long down
It's
track,
going to be intense.
and a very longer period of exposure to heat loads than we're experiencing tonight. It also had that skip entry profile that we discussed earlier, dipping into the Earth's atmosphere, then back out, then back in. It was about 20 minutes of exposure.
Integrity, Houston, comm check on TDRS.
Jackie, we have it loud and clear on TDRS.
We have you the same.
And there's one of the weather balloons being deployed from the USS John P. Murtha. So the Artemis 1 entry had the vehicle.
Any update on GPS? We haven't seen it track in yet.
Reed, we are watching. We are starting to get into the window where they may start acquiring, so should be within the next 10 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. We're holding at step 17 and getting ready for CMRCS hot fire.
And that exchange indicating that we are expecting to acquire data from the GPS system on board. That'll be a navigational tool that will basically tell Integrity's computers that they're on track down the center line of the corridor for the entry interface that will lead them to their splashdown point. Once again, the Artemis 1 entry exposed the heat shield for about 20 minutes of peak heating. For Artemis 2, we're going to reach a downtrack distance of 1,701 nautical miles from the point of entry interface with just 14 minutes of duration. And it's basically a different angle of attack, a little bit steeper angle of attack that will protect the heat shield from excessive heat loads. So that is the difference between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2, all designed into this mission to gather data, to protect the heat shield, since the Artemis 3 mission and beyond will have a different designed heat shield that will allow that skip entry type of profile to be resumed for all of the future missions coming back from the south pole of the moon when we initiate lunar landings. So we've handed over to the tracking and data relay satellite system. That's where we'll have communications for the rest of the flight. Just to give you some time hacks here, we're 13.5 minutes away from crew module, service module separation, and just 17 minutes away from the raise burn, that 19-second firing of the thrusters that will basically be the final fine-tuning of the angle of attack for Integrity as it enters the Earth's atmosphere. And once again, a dueling box view of some of the assets that are involved in recovery operations today. The
Integrity, cabin configured, all crew suited and seated.
Houston, copies.
That confirmation from Reed Wiseman aboard Integrity, as you see the assets being deployed to the splashdown zone. At the time of splashdown, we expect the John P. Murtha to be about 5 miles away from Integrity, keeping a safe distance until we are sure that the vehicle is in the water and upright, and that it is in a good configuration system-wide for the recovery teams to begin to approach the vehicle to erect that inflatable raft.
2 minutes to CM RCS warm-up hot fire.
We're ready.
That call from spacecraft communicator Jackie Mahaffey indicating that we're 2 minutes away from a quick burst of the reaction control system. Thrusters, that will be a hot fire test prior to the separation of the crew module from the service module. The European service module has performed flawlessly throughout this flight. Everything, all the burns that had been prescribed for that service module have been executed on time and without a problem. There is the European flight control room that has overseen the manufacturing, the design of the European service module. They deserve quite a bit of credit on this mission for not only propelling the Integrity and its astronauts toward the moon, but also conducting the fine-tuning of its trajectory to bring it to this point where we are dead spot on down the middle of the corridor trajectory-wise to bring Integrity down for its splashdown in the Pacific just 44 minutes from now.
So I hope everyone is watching. They see that they're 44 minutes out from splashdown. So, and look, let this. Just look at this. Look at these angles that they're hitting. You see the light, the dark side. You can tell who's having sun, who's in the morning, who's at night. And these guys are just jetting away at over 16,000 miles. Okay.
What you're looking at is a computer-generated visualization based on real-time telemetry from Integrity, currently traveling about 16,000 miles an hour. Integrity traveling about 16,000 miles an hour.
For the prop cautions, we're taking a look.
Copy that.
Now just about 5,100 miles from Earth. Splashdown scheduled 43 minutes from now. We're just 9.5 minutes away from the crew module service module separation. We are confirming.
Integrity, we are assessing details, but so far looks like a good hot fire.
Looks good on board, Jackie. Thank you.
And Jackie Mahaffey took the words out of my mouth. I was just about to say that we had a good hot fire test of the thrusters in advance of the crew module service module separation that's coming up just 8.5 minutes from now. This will begin the period in which we will have rapid-fire succession of critical activities on board that will lead to entry interface just 28 minutes from now, where the vehicle will enter the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. The time of entry interface, 6:53 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time. Integrity's astronauts were awakened at mid-morning to begin their entry preparations. And propulsion officer now reports a good hot fire test in preparation for the crew module service module separation. We're now inside 41 minutes until splashdown.
Integrity Houston, we have confirmed a good CMRCS hot fire. And although we are not seeing GPS acquired yet, you can skip the troubleshooting steps in 157 for now.
Integrity copies.
That GPS discussion indicating that we will be acquiring navigational data for integrity through the global positioning system equipment on board. We just don't have it yet, but we will. All of Integrity's systems are in great shape to support its high-speed entry into the Earth's atmosphere. It, once again, will reach a peak speed of 24,661.21 miles an hour.
Your call, GPS. We at least have GPS 1 looking good on board.
We're confirming.
The guidance, navigation, and control officer here in Mission Control confirming that we have good lock on GPS data. We are on a communications link now through the tracking and data relay satellite system. Now, following splashdown, we're going to lose that link and go to what's called a VLDR, a very low data rate communications link, so that we can talk to the crew inside Integrity as they are on the water.
Integrity, confirm we do see good GPS.
We do too, especially GPS 1 is accepting in nav channels 1 and 3.
That GPS data is basically telling Integrity's onboard computers its position relative to the Earth, but its trajectory and its orientation according to flight dynamics and the guidance, navigation, and control officer is spot on. We have now armed the pyros for the crew module service module separation coming up less than 5 minutes from now. Once again, just 10 seconds after entry interface, we will see Integrity reaching its peak speed of 24,661.21 miles per hour. That will be just seconds before we begin a 6-minute blackout period.
Integrity, Houston.
I have to ask a question once I'm looking at these speeds that these guys are traveling at. But so on which highway I could drive this fast and not get a ticket? Like, you think about it for a second. 16,000 miles an hour. Like, where am I not getting a ticket?
By Integrity's
so it's just interesting to realize that once you're in space, there's the concept of speed tickets become obsolete and matter of fact ignorant at this point. So
that it's
Godspeed to these guys.
Upward, providing the final angle of attack as the vehicle enters the Earth's atmosphere. This being the mitigating factor that will reduce heat loads on the heat shield as we reach a point downrange from the start of entry interface, some 1,701 nautical miles to the splashdown site. Integrity systems in excellent shape. We are currently 3,300 nautical miles left in this mission. Splashdown scheduled 36 minutes, 39 seconds from now.
Integrity, Houston. For the 2 enabled prop cautions, what happened is while the thrusters were firing, multiple pressure sensors on each of the strings diverged a bit from each other. Those limits look to be set pretty tight. We think it could happen again when the thrusters fire in the future, so we are going to suppress those messages.
We concur with suppress, not inhibit. Thank you.
That exchange between Jackie Mahaffey, our Capcom for tonight, and Reed Wiseman aboard Integrity, indicating basically to ignore sensor data. All of Integrity systems are in good shape. Now, coming up on about 90 seconds till the crew module, service module separation. All quiet here in Mission Control as we enter the most critical phase of the completion of this flight. All of the preparatory activities leading up to the vehicle entering the Earth's atmosphere just 21 minutes from now. Coming up on 1 minute. Mark, 1 minute till crew module, service module separation. And we have confirmation of crew module, service module separation. And a great view, albeit momentarily.
Houston, good top on board.
Just saw separation there. That means they're not to make their descent.
European service module now separated from Integrity. A job well done.
You would think they would have better
Integrity, no action for the
cinematography
four
at this
CDH
point.
Cautions. Those are SM related, not
But I'm
applicable.
thinking that's less to do with camera technology and more to do with camera technology for space. Because there really ain't that much stuff in there.
Ladies and gentlemen, TJ here. I will do my best not to speak over the mission comms or the commentary from NASA. It's a bit of a split audience.
With Integrity now flying free on its own for the remaining 32 minutes of this mission. Next up, the raise burn, a 19-second firing of Integrity's thrusters.
GPS 2.
It's a bit of a split audience about me coming on.
Good GPS 2.
So I'll keep my commentary to a minimum until splashdown.
Until the raise burn. Again, this is the final tweaking of the orientation of Integrity to put it in the right angle, if you will, the angle of attack that it will fly in during its entrance into the Earth's atmosphere. Entry interface now just 18 minutes, 25 seconds away. This is a visualization, but driven by real-time telemetry. This is the maneuvering of Integrity to the raise burn orientation.
Should be obvious here.
2,800 miles from Earth.
Should be obvious here, but the service module is obviously not attached anymore.
Houston, we got a great view of the European service module out the window with the sun hitting the side and the solar rays and the NASA worm right there. It's a beautiful looking machine.
Roger.
Kudos everybody at NASA. This has been an absolutely gorgeous mission.
And we have completed the maneuver to the raise burn orientation. 1 minute away from the raise burn.
So Orion will actually fire its forward thrusters to do this burn. This will put them on that skip trajectory, which is designed to slow them down even further before they enter the thicker part of the Earth's atmosphere. If you have any questions, please leave them in chat, and I will try to answer them in between mission comms. Somebody asked, will the chute deploy as soon as they enter the atmosphere? The drogue chutes will deploy once they're at roughly terminal velocity to stabilize the vehicle, or right before. And then the forward fairing on top of Orion will detach. The drogue will pull it away for the main chutes. Once the main chutes deploy, there'll be...
And the crew module raise burn is underway. A 19-second firing of the thrusters. And we have a completion of the burn.
I'm currently working on updating the milestones right now. They are about 10 minutes ahead of schedule from their schedule yesterday. But if
Integrity, good. CM raise burn. Your flight path angle is within limits.
Integrity copies. Looks good on board, Jackie.
So the final maneuver is now complete. Our trajectory for a splashdown in the Pacific 29 minutes from now is set and will not be amended any further. And we have the right angle of attack to mitigate any excessive heat loads on the vehicle during entry interface.
Integrity Houston, a heads up about comm coverage. When you perform the 180 roll, for the first minute or so in that attitude, we expect about a minute LOS.
We copy.
So for those who are watching the series of events coming up, we will enter the first traces of Earth's atmosphere 14 minutes, 45 seconds from now. 6:53 and 30 seconds is what is pegged for entry interface at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling at approximately 34,800 feet per second, range to touchdown or splashdown 1,701 nautical miles. 24 seconds after entry interface, we will enter a 6-minute blackout period in which we will lose communications with the crew. This is expected due to the buildup of plasma around the vehicle. That's an ionization effect due to the collision, if you will, of the velocity of the spacecraft with the friction of the Earth's atmosphere. That 6-minute blackout is expected to begin at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. During that period of time, we will reach our peak speed of 24,661 miles per hour. That comes just short, based on unofficial data from the flight dynamics officer right now, will come just short of the velocity record set by Apollo 10 of 24,791 miles per hour in 1969. We expect peak heating on the vehicle at 6:54 and 52 seconds p.m. Central Time, a minute and 22 seconds into entry interface. At that point, we will be just 204,000 feet above the Earth, traveling at 33,000 feet per second. The blackout period is expected to last 6 minutes. We expect that blackout period to end at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time. From the end of the blackout period until splashdown, it is just 7 minutes, at which point we'll start deploying the series of parachutes to slow integrity down to an ultimate splashdown velocity of just 19 miles an hour.
We see the same, waiting for the 180 rolls.
The parachute deployment sequence, once again, will come in several segments, but in rapid fire succession.
And we have a great view of the moon out window 2.
We have 25 minutes on the clock, guys.
Guess we'll have to go back.
Reed Wiseman and Jackie Mahaffey exchanging discussion on a view of the moon that Integrity's astronauts are seeing in the final minutes of this mission that will be completed with splashdown just 25 minutes from now. 3 forward bay cover parachutes will be used to pull the forward bay cover off the top of the vehicle. Then 2 drogue parachutes will be deployed to slow and stabilize the crew module during its descent, followed by 3 pilot parachutes that will lift and deploy the main parachutes from the forward bay. The final sequence will have 3 main parachutes deployed. These will be 116 feet in diameter, each main parachute approximately 265 feet long when reefed. The parachutes will ultimately slow Integrity down from its peak speed of almost 33 times the speed of sound to a gentle 19 miles an hour at splashdown. The vehicle is now currently in a roll to the proper attitude for entry interface. Our trajectory is right on according to flight dynamics. Integrity is on a trajectory from southwest and northeast across the Pacific Ocean, descending at a rate of 15,000 feet per second.
Okay, folks, the timelines are fixed. These times are estimates at this point.
Range to touchdown 4,300 nautical miles, all the systems in excellent shape.
Orion is currently screaming back to Earth at 9,700 meters per second. I don't know how many soccer fields that is, but that's a lot.
Integrity, Orion.
I'm just surprised. I'm trying to figure out how many miles at that speed, how fast it would take me to go from California to Florida, and how much tickets I would have gotten if I was going that fast.
This view
So
out
it's
of one of Integrity's
literally
windows. We had a call
mind-boggling
for
the
3
speeds that
good
we're talking, the
barrows. Those are
distance that we're traveling,
barometric pressure
and
sensors that
to most
feed
of us, we don't even understand
altitude
these
and
speeds or
rate of
these
descent
times or these
information to
distances.
Integrity's computers
But
that will trigger the parachute deployment sequence.
it's a daily part of our lives. They're just at a different
We are
scale,
less than 9
and
minutes away from
hopefully
entry
we get to
interface, 22 minutes from
these scales
splashdown.
get to be normalized over our lifetime because we're
If you
doing
were looking at
more
a world
activities
map,
in space.
Orion is currently located southwest of Hawaii, screaming in a northeast trajectory towards San Diego. Weather is looking good. Looks like they're off the Deep Space Network now.
One of the crew members in the window. Out in the Pacific, the weather conditions remain go. Just a few clouds, some scattered clouds, winds at 10 knots, wave heights just about 4 feet.
Map is largely
useless. Day in the
useless.
Pacific for the homecoming of Integrity's astronauts.
Canberra is still trying to track Orion, even though it's going very fast. Surprised they're not on the TDRS network at the moment. It is lower bandwidth, but there's still about 1,000 miles
Integrity back in EI attitude
above the Earth's surface. Thank you so much, everybody, for the super chats. It really does mean a lot. This has been a labor of love.
So, Houston, purge is complete. Crew and vehicle are configured for entry.
It's hard to imagine a better crew.
Houston copies.
And we're in step 37, transferring nav state to BFS.
Again, milestones are estimates at this point. I think we may be a little ahead of schedule now, but the order of operations is the same. After after reentry, well, the whole experience is reentry. Drogue Drogue chutes will deploy, and it all happens
And Houston,
pretty
in
quick.
instruction 509, we are not below 0.2.
Integrity, no action required.
Integrity.
Now 6 minutes away from entry interface, we will hit the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling about 34,882 feet per second. Ranged splashdown at that point will be 1,701 nautical miles. And once again, just a reminder, some 24 seconds after entry interface, we do expect to lose communications with the vehicle and the crew during a 6-minute blackout period when a plasma shield will build up around the spacecraft due to the ionization, due to heating effects. And Flight Dynamics has just confirmed we will have a blackout period of exactly 6 minutes in duration. And once again, that's due to the fact that a plasma buildup around the vehicle will prevent communications and data. So we will not be able to talk to the crew members at that time, nor will we receive data here in the flight control room.
Houston, everything is looking good on board. Just confirm no pre-EI downloads.
Houston concurs.
That blackout period to begin at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time, and again will last about 6 minutes in duration.
Thank you, everybody, for the love. Just hope for the best. I'm sure everything's going to work out just
We're
fine.
4
NASA knows
minutes
what they're
away
doing.
from entry interface.
I can say for a fact our timeline is a little ahead of schedule now. Perhaps I should not have adjusted it, but I'm not touching it now. I have been working on something for this stream for after Artemis 2 gets back, but I will not dig into that until this crew is safely on the aircraft carrier. What a honor and privilege it's been to be able to spend time with you all the last week or so. This has been a really amazing opportunity, and I'm happy that we all got together to experience this. If you're watching this stream, you're hardcore.
This view from Integrity as it crosses from southwest to northeast across the Pacific Ocean, 3 minutes from entry interface. "16.5 minutes till splashdown." The USS John P. Murtha and the recovery team is on station and in position, as are the airborne imagery assets that we hope to receive imagery from as Artemis enters the Earth's atmosphere and through parachute deployment.
If you monitor velocity,
All
you'll
of
know
Integrity systems are in great shape. The crew is ready to complete its mission just 15.5 minutes from now. All of the activities today have gone off in perfect fashion. No issues with the vehicle, no issues with the crew. And the weather at the splashdown site is go.
Something for you all to monitor is the velocity. They are still speeding up, which means they haven't really hit any notable atmosphere. But once you start seeing the velocity go the other direction and they start slowing down, you'll know the vehicle is now going to begin experiencing some heat, and the RCS thrusters on Orion are going to start working overtime to keep the vehicle stable. Orion's shape allows it to be passively stable for most of entry, but they want Orion to enter in a very particular
Coming
angle.
up on 1 minute until entry interface.
So keep monitoring that velocity. When they start slowing down, you know it's about to get exciting. When we start to see that heat and that plasma, we will lose comms with the crew.
Mark 1 minute until entry interface. 1 minute, 20 seconds until the expected start of our 6-minute blackout.
Integrity, 1 minute to a 6-minute blackout.
Milestones are ahead of schedule, everybody. Once they get through blackout, we should see drogues. I'd estimate splashdown in about 20 minutes. This is the most ambitious reentry since 1972, without a doubt.
10 seconds till entry interface.
Keep monitoring the velocity.
And we have crossed the threshold, now entering the Earth's atmosphere. We're at 400,000 feet, traveling 34,800 feet per second. Time to splash down, 13 minutes, 10 seconds.
You can see Orion's attitude has adjusted. Still slightly speeding up. We should see that trend changing.
And as predicted, we've entered our communications blackout.
There they go.
This will be a 6-minute blackout period. No voice, no data from the crew.
We're getting spotty telemetry back at the moment.
We're 30 seconds away from the anticipated point of peak heating on the vehicle, where temperatures will rise to about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the true test of our trajectory.
We may still get some telemetry back through the plasma. Right now, it looks like it's a ground-based camera.
From the G5 aircraft in the vicinity of the splashdown zone, this view of integrity. So that pinpoint of light shows the vehicle as it enters the period of peak heating in the Earth's atmosphere, the first tug of gravity being felt by Integrity's astronauts since their launch back on April 1st.
Integrity is about 80 miles above the Earth's surface, 124 kilometers in closing.
4.5 minutes until the end of the blackout period. Time to splash down, 11 minutes, 33 seconds.
Thank you for everybody's support. There's been a lot in chat here. Just continuing to monitor the telemetry. 11,000 meters per second. 119 kilometers above the Earth's surface. They do not have solar panels anymore. Their service module has been detached from the command module.
The landing and support officer reports that the P3 has acquisition on Integrity.
All that's left now is the capsule of that huge rocket that launched 10 days ago.
3.5 minutes left in this blackout period. This is a visualization of the plasma buildup around the spacecraft and the repelling of that heat on Integrity's heat shield.
At a certain point, we will see this velocity drop. There's a lot of momentum. There is still some signal. How can we test telemetry during LOS? There is still some telemetry coming down. These are bits and bobs packets, but not enough information to actually send video down from Orion. So random packets are getting through the plasma at the moment. It will get so thick that nothing gets through,
Flight
but right now
Dynamics reports that airborne assets in the vicinity of the splashdown zone do have a visual on integrity. Still 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in our blackout period. Time to splashdown, 9 minutes, 35 seconds.
the caps will be surrounded by plasma. The windows will be engulfed in what appears to be an orange and yellow flame. And then the interior of the capsule will begin to experience light from that experience.
Multiple airborne assets as part of the recovery team all have visuals on integrity.
$60 miles above the Earth's surface. 58.
And the WB-57 flying in the splashdown zone also has a visual. And the Navy helos also have visuals.
They have a very, very highly
We're still in
accurate
the blackout period. Still do not have communications from the crew.
projections of where they'll touch down, so the Navy will be on them within just a few minutes via speedboats and helicopters. They will tow Orion back to the carrier. It will not be lifted like you would have seen during the Apollo days. But the crew will be airlifted from Orion.
We're standing by for communications from the crew. We should be out of the blackout period less than a minute from now.
You'll see velocity is dropping very fast now. They're entering the thicker parts of our atmosphere. The lower they get, the thicker it gets, the faster they slow down. This is the point where the heat shield is getting its worst beating. This is an ablative heat shield. This is a one and done heat shield.
Data from integrity.
Okay, we're getting some funny numbers back.
Landing and support officer reports the small boats are en route to the splashdown target zone.
Okay, telemetry is cleaning up. They're 30 miles above the surface, slowing down very fast. It looks like NASA's still getting telemetry up pretty quick.
Passing through 150,000 feet, our trajectory is perfect.
Guys, we're in the final descent right now, so we can see that
I'm going to try to zoom in on that.
Still waiting to establish voice communication.
they're still in the blackout.
Try to zoom in on mission
Right
control
now, we're trying
when
to
we get
see
to that
what the
shot again,
trajectory is
because it
going to
looks
be
like
at.
they are starting to get some footage back from Orion. A frame here or there.
Integrity, we have you loud and clear.
Your trajectory is nominal, and your recovery
Okay, we hear them.
visual.
No, they're back out.
Guidance looks good.
No action for the enabled internal camera controller fail.
You can see here.
Cheers from the viewing room
See,
here
they
at
moved
Mission
from going
Control as
23,000
voice
miles
communication reestablished
an
with Commander
hour.
Reed
And now
Wiseman.
they're just at 7,000 miles an hour.
For
You see how much
America and a waiting
speed they
world,
cut off during that
integrity
through that break
is
period?
5.5
People don't
minutes
realize
away from
re-entry is
coming
literally
home.
just breaking.
Integrity is looking
That's the
good.
entire
Drones would
intention.
not have deployed yet. I'm waiting for her to get back to mission control so we can zoom in on their monitor where there's even more data that
Passing
we're not getting fed
100,000
publicly.
feet now. Range to splash down 19 nautical miles.
Look at that. Velocity is down to 890 meters per second. 874. There will not be a camera on the outside of Orion at this point. The camera you saw earlier in the mission is likely not even functional anymore. That service module is going to break up.
Integrity impact to the camera controller fail is no cab 1 views of the chutes.
Okay, chutes aren't out yet, y'all.
Integrity.
We're processing good data through the GPS system. A good view of integrity, time to splashdown 4.5 minutes.
We're looking good, though.
And a view of integrity from the WB-57. We're at
People-
50,000 feet.
People were worried about the heat shield. Heat shield did great. Now it's all in the chutes. We're past that point. You're going to see some puffs. There's still those RCS thrusters could still be functioning right now to make sure the vehicle's in the right attitude.
The pyros are armed for forward bay cover jettison.
We'll see that cover pop off. Drogues followed. The drogues are used to stabilize Orion during its fall. There we go.
And there go the first
There's
series
the
of
cover.
parachutes.
Drogues.
And we're on drogues.
That's great. Okay.
And
Drogues are going to
additional two
pull.
drones out the window.
Drogues are going to pull larger chutes out next.
2 good drogue chutes. Next up,
We copy. We see
We
'em.
see Ocean.
Next up, the deployment of pilot parachutes that will pull the main chutes out. Time to splash down 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
This is huge. This is huge.
Perfect descent rate according to flight
Integrity,
dynamics.
Good rates on 2 drogues.
We're looking good.
We see the same on board.
Whole point of drogues is to stabilize the vehicle so it doesn't have any kind of weird wobble or positioning for the larger chutes. It's looking great. This is a ground-based
Passing
camera.
through 10,000 feet. Still on drogues.
We want 3 big, beautiful chutes, y'all. Orion can safely land with 2. Here we go.
Main chute deploy.
Come on.
We're
Looks
at
like one's not
5,000
having a
feet.
good time. There we go.
Search and recovery beacon has been activated on integrity.
Okay, we got the chutes out. I'm just
And
letting
we
you
have
guys
good
know
main chutes.
this speed drop is insane.
Good 3 main chutes, good reefing,
Houston
good descent
confirms
rate.
Good rates, and we see 3 good-looking parachutes.
That is beautiful, man. Oh my God.
Integrity. Cabin pressure indicates no need for hydrazine checks.
That is amazing.
Integrity copies.
This is the best, y'all. This is the best news we could
This
have
is
gotten.
a perfect descent for integrity. Its crew sounding hale and hearty on board.
NASA pitched a perfect game here, man.
Time to splash down 1 minute, 15 seconds.
Oh man, beautiful. This is beautiful. I have no idea how many people are watching right now, but thank you all for being here.
Integrity about to complete a journey spanning 694,481 miles from its launch from the Kennedy Space Center back on April 1st, and a trip around the moon.
This is a shot from a helicopter. They are now below the helicopter. The RCS thrusters are still firing.
Passing through 1,000 feet.
You will see the vehicle safe itself once it touches down in the ocean, essentially safing itself. It'll exhaust all of its propellant. So it's safe for the divers to approach the vehicle.
Dog.
Thank you all for the support.
Houston Integrity, splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
Splashdown confirmed.
Copy splashdown, waiting on VLDR.
Splashdown confirmed at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time. From the pages of Jules Verne to a modern-day mission to the moon, a new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete. Integrity's astronauts back on Earth.
As the mission commander, Reed Wiseman, would say, that was a full send.
And the landing and support officer reports the vehicle is stable 1. We still will be deploying the crew module uprighting system to maintain that orientation. Perfect bullseye splashdown for Integrity and its 4 astronauts.
Beautiful. This is art. This is art.
Where's that?
We may see some orange golf ball looking balloons on the top of the vehicle deploy here in a moment. Those are used in the event that the vehicle does tip over in the ocean, but this is as good as it gets.
Over there?
So now these guys get the opportunity to be landed down. They're safe return now. Now they're going to be scooped up by the U.S. Navy. Now the question that I always think about in situations like that, now they're back home. They're now feeling gravity again. So this is going to be like one of those painful experiences like, oh, I feel heavy again. And then, but now they have to retrieve the vessel. They have to retrieve the parachute. So this is going to be a very intense but well exercised retrieval process. And now we can officially welcome these guys back home. And now all that's left is for the crew to go pick them up and take them.
Integrity Houston, com check on
take them home.
VLDR.
Houston, we have you loud and clear on VLDR. How else?
We have you the same. We'll meet you over in post-landing.
Perfect communications established.
A journey. We are stable 1, 4 green crew members.
Houston copies all.
Reed Wiseman reporting 4 green crew members. That is not their complexion. That is the fact that they're in great condition. That's what that means.
I have no words.
That was a weak joke, but
the crew module uprighting system
that was a
is
weak
being
joke, but I
deployed.
give
The
him
5
it. He was
airbags
trying
being
his
inflated
hardest.
through helium to maintain the upright configuration for the vehicle. This was a textbook entry and a textbook touchdown for Integrity. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen back on Earth after a journey around the moon.
So they're still safing the vehicle. The propellant tanks will be venting. There are those airbags that the commentator mentioned earlier. That's an event that Orion does tip over. It'll make it easier and safer for the crew to climb out. Man, I'm so relieved.
We continue to monitor the functioning of the CMOOS system. The airbags are being inflated to maintain a stable 1 or upright configuration. And there's a good view from one of the naval helicopters hovering overhead. Reed Wiseman reporting 4 green crew members, meaning they're all in excellent shape.
Chat, I'm scrolling through right now looking for any questions you may all have, any of you may have at this point. Divers.
Integrity Houston for SAR beacon and radio.
SAR beacon is in for 06, and we're powering the radio now. Go ahead.
We see the beacon on. However, the recovery team is not seeing the signal. Your SAR radio uses the same antenna, so you may run into trouble with the radio.
SAR is search and rescue.
Okay, copy. We are also powering up the sat phone now.
They're still going to role play everything down.
So integrity is in great shape. And as the crew continues its post-splashdown timelined activities on board, Reed Wiseman once again reporting that all 4 crew members are in excellent shape. And we have 5 inflated airbags to maintain an upright configuration so that the recovery team can now begin a slow approach to the vehicle. Meanwhile, here in the flight control room, entry flight director Rick Henfling is polling his team of flight controllers for the start of powering down the vehicle after a thorough systems check.
So we're getting a lot of questions in chat. One of them being, did those tiny chutes at the beginning actually do anything? They look very small. They're not designed to necessarily slow the vehicle down. They're designed to stabilize it as it falls through the atmosphere. By having those drogue chutes follow behind the capsule, it can help remove any extra kind of wobbliness or maybe an attitude, which is it's a Gatorade bottle, the direction the vehicle is facing as it falls to the atmosphere. You don't want to deploy those larger chutes if the capsule's not in the right attitude. And those drogue chutes also serve to pull out the larger chutes, which really require a lot of energy. In the event SAR doesn't arrive in time and integrity takes on water, presumably the crew has contingency plan to escape. Yes, of course. If you saw on their IVA suits that they wore on launch and entry, they've got these blue bags under their arms. That's their life jackets that they can literally just take a string, pop it out, and they become little boats. And on the side of their leg, there's also like an inflatable raft. But that's not going to be necessary here. The vehicle is in stable 1 condition, which means it's in the upright condition. There's stable 2, stable 3. There's different stable configurations of the vehicle. They even practice if the capsule is completely upside down and they can't get out the main hatch for them to get out the for them to turn the vehicle and to right it and then get out the hatch. There's a variety of ways for them to solve for that. But any of those contingencies are not going to be necessary today. Those would be really helpful in the event that it was an emergency or, something happened on our planet that they were not going to be able to get support. It being pressurized, it shouldn't sink anyway, right? It's not going to sink in its status. It's naturally buoyant. Orion is not like, yes, if it took on enough water, it would sink, just like any boat. But Orion's hatch is not going to be open until a rescue diver from the outside opens it up for them. Why is SAR not there yet? It's hard. Well, there's two factors here. One, distance. They purposefully aren't right there immediately because the vehicle, you can't really see it, but it is venting propellant, which is toxic. It uses hypergolic propellants, which are extremely toxic if touched, breathed. You look at them the wrong way. Again, this vehicle touchdown off the coast of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. So what about the command module? Is it just going to float around in orbit, or are they planning to come back to Earth? So I think you mean the service module. Service module is probably in 1,000 tiny little bits over the Pacific at the moment. So that is not coming back. This Orion is not going to fly again. At least the pressure vessel is not, which is like the shell. They are going to, it's going to undergo just a huge examination for future missions, but they will be pulling components from inside the Orion to use on future flights, computers, chairs, things like that. So when we see this Orion in a museum one day, my hunch is that it'll be in Houston. It will be a shell of itself. They'll remove all the tiles, they'll remove the heat shield, and do a very thorough examination to make sure that they don't have to make any major changes to the design. How long does it take to get used to Earth gravity again? Here is SAR. Pretty quick. They were only gone for 10 days. They could experience some nausea and some disorientation, but they weren't. It's not like they were on the space station for a year, where there's some more physical or occupational therapy required. Boat, yes, boat is here. They will airlift the crew so they get back to the carrier much faster. We just saw how long it took for the boat to get there, and we don't even know how far the boat was from the carrier when it touched down. DNLL asks, I saw much higher speed than intended on the reentry according to telemetry, beating the Apollo record, although they're supposed to be short by 100 miles per hour. What could have happened? Poof. I don't know. I'd be speculating through and through. It's hard to say what could have happened. There's so many variables at play. But I can assure you that there's going to be very, very thorough reports that'll be publicized, like partially publicized. In NASA press conferences, the media are going to have a field day in all the good ways, but also asking some of the more niche outlets, space outlets, will be asking the tough questions. I'm very much looking forward to seeing the National Geographic footage. They were shooting the entire mission content that we have not seen yet. Why is Space Shuttle not doable to the moon? The Space Shuttle was a very large vehicle, very heavy. It was not designed to go beyond low Earth orbit. You would have had to add a significant amount of delta V or energy to that vehicle. Could it have gone to the moon maybe, but in its design, it didn't have enough to put it in very basic terms, it didn't have enough energy to go beyond low Earth orbit. Apologies, I'm calling it a carrier. It's not technically an aircraft carrier. You might think of the Navy with fighter jets flying on and off. Although I believe the F-35 might hop on and off of this carrier, if I'm not mistaken. No, I'm wrong. It's an amphibious.
So now we have the speedboats moving up towards the capsule. I'm just saying, I'm proud of the opportunity to see this in my lifetime, the return to the moon. I thought it would. I thought the way they were talking about it would never happen again, and to see it happen again, it's just a happy moment.
The ship they're going to be going to, thank you very much for Robert Mowry for his comment. This is the USS John P. Murtha. It's an amphibious transport dock ship. Primarily carrying Seahawk helicopters for airlift. It also carries 2 Ospreys. And it could carry up a couple of Sea Kings. So they haven't approached Orion yet because it is likely still venting its propellant. Canberra. WAP HD for you. I will call it Canberra from now on. Can we remove the schedule, make the picture bigger? Absolutely. We have seen there's really no need to see the telemetry anymore. The vehicle is now back home. Stand by.
Hey guys, this was a proud opportunity for us to look at the splashdown moment and see everything come down. Right now, they are rescuing the vehicles, and bringing it up to the space, maybe into the ship. So that's going to take a few minutes because they still venting atmosphere. However, for this live stream, we're going to call it a day. We do want to thank everyone that came in and watched the video with us as they came and showed this iconic moment that was over 50 years in the making. I appreciate all the time and commitment that everyone put in. And at this time, the time, I'm going to say cheese. Talk to you guys later, and hopefully we can have a recap coming next coming weeks. Where we talk about the actual event and kind of tie it back to fiction and reality and what makes this such a good day. Until later, you guys have a good night. Peace and have fun.